sponsored by Jeep. We're at Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. John Fanta, Kim Adams, and Megan Caffrey with you. Let's set things up here. Connecticut, folks, is down to 7 available players. Why? Aaliyah Edwards, their senior, their powerhouse inside, is missing her first game since 2020, just the second of her career with a broken nose. So the Huskies trying to deal with that this afternoon, and they started as strong as you could ask. Paige Beckers with 6 of the first 9.
Yeah, it's been Paige Beckers leading the charge. She did the jump ball in place of Aaliyah Edwards. She scored the first bucket of the game, and she has just been foot on the gas like we saw her yesterday in the quarterfinal win over Providence.
So with no Edwards, the superstar inside, what's it mean to this game?
Well, Ice Brady is starting in her place, so that's now 3 freshmen in the starting lineup for Gina Auriemma. Just 7 available players for UConn, which is pretty unheard of. There's a charge drawn by Marquette.
Offensive foul on Nika Mule. Here are the injured Huskies. It is quite the list. Amari DeBerry still out with that concussion protocol, but you think of the impact players. AZ Fudd, we've known about that since back in November with the ACL injury, and then it just has compounded between Aubrey Griffin and Caroline Ducharme. You think there's not much else that can go wrong, and then Edwards has the broken nose yesterday, but she's not been ruled out for tomorrow, a potential final.
Yeah, but just to look at to have 7 players available and 7 players out with injury is, at this time of year, is just pretty crazy. And here's Gino talking to his senior point guard. You've got to be smart. We have 7 players available today. I need you all on the floor. I need you all playing big minutes. If you fell out, I don't have many options to go to. I can't look to my right and see a bench full of All-Americans dressed and ready to go like he has in recent years.
Did you see Nika's facial reaction?
She knew what was up. Little eye rolling right back to play.
Mule announcing earlier this week that she will call this her last season rather, as a Connecticut Husky, as Carlin hits, and that breaks up an 0 for 11 start for Marquette. Beckers has been attacking early, and this time she's fouled.
And right off the bat, the Marquette defense needs to shift to a mindset of keeping Paige Beckers in front. She's really gotten everything off the dribble, even if it's led to a kick-out 3 from Nika Mule earlier in the game. But she is just breaking down this Marquette defense right now, and no help is stepping up to stop her path and make her a passer.
Entering today, Paige Beckers with 7 20-plus point performances on the last 8 games. That moves her season total to 21 games of at least 20 points. How have you seen her come on as the year's gone on?
Well, she's fully comfortable back with her body now after missing the last season. And she's so efficient this season, shooting around 40% from 3, better than 50% from the field overall. And she's doing everything. We've seen more defense from her this year, leading UConn in blocks. And we saw that full game on display yesterday in the quarters.
Forbes looking for Carlin. That's out of her reach.
And this is what Gino talked to us about before the game. This Marquette team likes to run their offense, likes to stay in their sets, and for UConn, they're going to try to mess things up a little bit, push them off of their spots, make every pass difficult, and we're seeing that here in the opening 7 minutes.
Shade short. That offense has had a really successful season. They've significantly raised the game from last year, 72 points per game, top 12 in the country in three-point percentage, 13th in the country with over 18 assists per game. Right now, can't buy one. That's a blocking foul on Hare.
And again, Paige Beckers just trying to take everything off the dribble. Mackenzie Hare not sliding over in time. She's causing a lot of havoc on this end of the floor with her ball handling abilities.
You know, kept it pretty simple. He said, look, Paige Beckers just has to keep adding to the workload now. And she has come out in this first quarter with 7 of the team's 10. Marquette 1 for 13 in this opening quarter. Carlin can't get the bounce, and here comes Arnold with the 4-guard lineup. They will look to run for shots like this, but Shade can't connect. They've got a foul, though. And it's on Brady. Just her first, but Gina Auriemma said, Ice, you cannot afford to get in foul trouble because the cupboard is empty beyond her on the interior.
Now we just saw him get her attention. He's still giving her a coach's stare there. I'm sure that was heavily discussed prior to the game. But like you said, there's just not a luxury of a bench today. Everything has to be smart.
Carlin had that altered. That stare is so powerful, you don't even need to be making eye contact to recognize it.
Oh, Ice Brady knew it was there. That's where you turn a little bit of a blind eye. Pretend he's not looking at you.
Carlin Beckers is there with the block. That's the area of her game that she's really grown. Shade got a step. Ashlyn Shade, the Big East Freshman of the Year.
Ooh, Ashlyn Shade, just little jab step, fake left, go right. We know she can really shoot the ball from distance, from mid-range, but that was a strong take from the Freshman of the Year.
Hare got it.
She is their sniper from behind the arc. The top 10 shooter in the country in terms of makes. They're going to need her to get hot a little bit in this one.
42% from downtown on the year. 5th in the Big East. KK Arnold can't answer. Just like that, Kim, despite going 2 for 17, you get a basket here, could be within 5, if not 4.
Yeah, and this is, you want to close out this quarter strongly with a little bit of confidence and momentum.
That's an offensive foul.
And that's the second on Mackenzie Hare, their best threat from the outside. And we have talked about the shot blocking ability and how that has evolved for Paige Beckers this season. And then kicking it over to the freshman Ashlyn Shade on the tough baseline drive.
Beckers with 2 blocks in this opening quarter, up to 40 on the season. That leads the Huskies.
Mackenzie Hare has gone to the bench for Marquette with those 2 fouls after the offensive.
This matches the fewest points UConn's allowed in the first quarter this season. 4 on the clock. Beckers tries to go between the legs. Arnold with 2. TK Arnold. And that'll do it for the opening frame. Defense for Connecticut.
UConn, just 7 players available today. They do not care. They have come out ready to play. Paige Beckers locked in with 7 points for this early Huskies lead. Well, the Paige Beckers experience has been on full display. She's off to a quick start with 7 points, 5 rebounds. She has gotten everything done off of drives, off of attacks, but she's impacting the game in many ways. Look at her getting after it, going for loose ball. She has 2 blocks. Woo, a little behind the back, weaving through the defense. Little hockey assist over to Nika Mule. Paige Beckers has come out with a different type of mentality in this game with her sister, Aaliyah Edwards, sidelines. Let's check out the defensive ability. She's given up a couple of inches in that matchup to Liza Carlin. Look at the line already. We are just 1 quarter into this game. Paige Beckers has turned things up.
And how about the defensive effort? Short-handed. The 5 points allowed in the first quarter, tied for the fewest this season with February 7th against Seton Hall.
And Marquette is one of the highest scoring teams in the Big East. There are some teams in this conference that average about 50 to 60 points per game. Marquette is third in scoring at more than 70 points per game. So it is an insane defensive performance.
Lee Volker scores for the Golden Eagles. Let's send it back over to Megan Caffrey.
Yeah, John, well, that last Marquette huddle was a lot more settled than the original timeout. Head coach Megan Duffy pleased with her team's defensive performance in that first quarter, saying, hey, we only gave up 12 points. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we can do defensively.
Yeah, Megan, well, we were looking at the stat sheet, and UConn shot just 31% overall. It seems like they're really in control of the game, but the defense has been there, but Ashlyn Shade back at it with the big one.
Ashlyn Shade, from November struggles to Big East Freshman of the Year. Gino Auriemma told us earlier this week her rise has been amazing, and they've needed it.
Yeah, and you know, well, really, if you count Ice Brady, 4 freshmen, and Ashlyn Shade was probably the last one to really come along, but once she did, it has been consistency.
Forbes, the freshman, and the big game yesterday. This one is long. Beckers to a cutting Brady. Forbes fouled it.
And again, UConn attacking in transition, even if they don't have the initial look. Ice Brady trailing the play. You know, Paige Beckers is going to find you and reward you if you run the floor.
We talk about Ashlyn Shade and KK Arnold getting an opportunity with the other Huskies in AZ Fudd and Caroline Ducharme going down, among others. Part of the reason why Ice Brady hasn't gotten more and more minutes is because it's so difficult to take Aaliyah Edwards off the floor. Now she gets her opportunity. What do you think of that idea that she could make the most of it?
Yeah, well, she has come out really confidently. She was confident yesterday when she played extended minutes in the second half. I like what she's bringing to the table for UConn.
Wow, Paige Beckers. When you're that much of a bucket, you get those rolls.
That's the type of day it's shaping up to be for Paige Beckers. Circus finish there.
Carlin is short. They have contested.
That's her 7th rebound of the game. She's already on double-double watch here early in the second quarter. Things are all going according to plan today for Miss Paige Beckers. That is a tough finish, falling to the floor. Gets the friendly roll, gets a big rebound on the other end. She's been ready.
Already 11 points. She scored in double digits in every game but the season opener. As Arnold is called for the foul, that's her second.
And of course, the season opener was her first game back in nearly 600 days, so I think we'll let that one slide. But it's incredible to think that she missed that much time, and she has just taken her game to new levels this season.
She said her faith keeps her grounded, keeps her humble, keeps her staying in the moment. When you've had the sport taken away from you due to injury, you appreciate it that much more. Carlin is fouled. And then Carlin with a big clap. And if that's on Arnold, yes it is. That's her third. Well.
Let's take a look here. So there's an aggressive double team immediately on Liza Carlin. Maybe a little contact there. It's a tough spot for KK Arnold to get in as a guard, one of the smallest players on the floor, to be backed down by Liza Carlin, who's 6'2".
So he was willing to put up with 2 fouls, but Gino Auriemma is not going to put up with 3 with 7.5 to go in the first half. So here comes Caden Samuels, the freshman from Forestville, Maryland, top 50 recruit out of Bishop McNamara.
And a moment we just saw there, the moment Kaden Samuels came into the game, Paige Beckers went right up to her and kind of tapped her on the chest and said something along the lines of, "You got this." That is a leadership moment right there.
Mule is stopped. Volker there.
Marquette, we know they can be a strong defensive team. Nice discipline there by Volker, nice timing.
Five on the shot clock for the Huskies. Samuels, who just came in, lost it. Third Huskies turnover. Volker to King. That's Jordan King, who's off because Samuels got back.
Now a couple stops in a row from Marquette. Can they capitalize? Can they finish consistently on this end of the floor to cut this lead into single digits?
That defense was the reason why they're here. They held Villanova to 48 yesterday.
Look at Paige Beckers denying that ball into Hare.
1 for 9 from 3 are the Golden Eagles after that King miss. And look, what did Gino Auriemma say to us, Kim? He said, "I don't know how we're going to score the ball in the interior, but our defense should never end." Brady is fouled.
Now, this is a Marquette team that is top 15 in the country in terms of three-point field goal percentage. And the length of UConn has bothered that three-point shooting. They're contesting every shot. They're staying attached to shooters. Paige Beckers was just matched up with Mackenzie Hare, making it impossible for her to even get a catch.
So back to Brady. So highly touted out of high school. Had a lot of hype coming into this program. Last year, just derailed with the ACL injury. Kim, with all this program's had to deal with, do you feel like nationally it just gets taken for granted that this program is still 27-5, didn't lose a conference game?
Yeah, I mean, there certainly hasn't been as much national talk about them this year for whatever reason. Maybe because when they did have big non-conference, Isaac Carlin knocks that down, but when they did have the national stage, losing to South Carolina, losing to Notre Dame, people maybe overreacting to games like that.
We'll talk more about it after this. Gino Auriemma takes a timeout. We were talking before the break about UConn's season, so let's do a season in review. 4 of those 5 losses come to some of the best programs in America.
And yeah, that didn't even include NC State, who's now like a top 15 team, but they did go unscathed in Big East play, 18-0. Some veterans leading the way here. Paige Beckers, the Big East Player of the Year. Nika Mule leading the Big East in assists. So lots to like here. Aaliyah Edwards was probably the next in line to win Big East Player of the Year after Paige Beckers. As we take a look at their tournament resume. And we mentioned, you know, those 5 losses, all to ranked teams right now. They do have 6 ranked wins, which leads the country coming into this Big East tournament, 8-5 against the Nets top 50, currently projected as a 3 seed, but we've been seeing some crazy results across the country in these conference tournaments. How about South Carolina nearly going down yesterday, Iowa nearly going down in the Big Ten today to Nebraska. So you don't know what can happen in any of these conference tournaments.
Notre Dame beat NC State, 2 UConn opponents in the ACC final. Caitlin Clark, the Big Ten most outstanding player. And Iowa beating Nebraska in the Big Ten final as Shade connects out of the timeout.
Very confident she is with her shot, being shot ready.
Hare, you can't give her space.
That was a silky one, high arcing. They tried to send a double team at her, but You said it, just a little bit too much separation. Mackenzie Hare back in the game, playing with 2 fouls.
First in the Big East with those 87 threes made. Brady, in and out. Megan Caffrey was in the UConn huddle. What did you hear?
Well, Gino definitely liked the first offensive situation that his team just had. He was nodding after they had come back because they had a lot more ball movement. That is one thing he's looking for on offense. He said we need to move the ball. We can't just take one pass.
UConn continues to be all over Liza Carlin when she catches it in the post, sending multiple defenders to her.
And Kumu off on the 3. To Megan's point on that report, and thank you, Megan. The Huskies, 5 of their 9 buckets assisted on. Gino Auriemma told us Ice Brady's a great passer. Caden Samuels. We saw her start the season strong with that jump shot.
Caden Samuels faked me a little bit out there. I thought she was going right. All of a sudden it was one dribble pull up to the left. We've seen these freshmen have some high-level moves early in this game.
Early in the year, she's starting the season back-to-back double-figure performances. Can maybe she supply something off the bench today as Beckers comes up with a rebound. At 14 against NC State, did Samuels. Stay with UConn. Coming up on the Jeep Halftime Report, we will look at highlights from our game and send you to our LA studios with Rob Stone, Casey Jacobson, and Laval Jordan to preview the men's Big East tournament, which starts Wednesday on FS1. The Huskies men, the top seed. Big East men's tournament. Meet the winner of Xavier Butler on Thursday. Here's Mule with 3. Samuels with 1. Brady. Shot clock violation.
Nika Mule missed Ice Brady. Ice Brady had a nice roll, kind of slipping that screen, but Nika Mule had her head, wasn't squared up to see the whole floor. It would have been an easy layup.
What's your thought process for Marquette closing out this half?
Well, UConn has really forced Jordan King specifically to take some deep threes. Would like to see King attack a little bit more, and I think Liza Carlin's going to have to step out and get some space.
That switch is home. It's Claire Cathis off the bench.
Megan Duffy in her stance that we see so often with the yellow kicks, imploring her team to stay active on this end.
Brady is fouled by Carlin. Megan Duffy does not stop on the sidelines. And her work ethic comes from learning from greats. She played for Muffet McGraw at Notre Dame, was a terrific player, had a pro career as well.
Yeah, Megan Duffy is high energy all the time. We see her working in shoot-arounds when we have the chance to attend. She's got the high bun, the short. She's ready to step in and play herself.
Think about the fact that she's been the head coach of this program now for 5 seasons. Took over for Carolyn Keeger after Keeger's successful run at Marquette before Keeger went to Penn State. And Duffy has just kept the consistency going for this program. 2 NCAA tournaments in the last 3 years. A pair of missed free throws and Marquette can get within single digits. Here's King. Carlin. A little bit short, but that's off of Brady.
And I like the look there from Liza Carlin. As I was saying on the last possession, they're really crowding her in the paint, and she's a player that has range. She can even hit threes, so I think she's going to have to step her game out a little bit today.
Carlin just 2 for 9. Hoists another off the front of the rim. Got it back. We got a whistle. A foul or a jump ball. It's a foul. It's on Brady, and now that's Ice Brady's second.
A lot of activity here in the paint. It's called on the rebound. It does look like Ice Brady had her arm wrapped around Liza Carlin's.
Carlin fades, and now because of Brady really being the only post presence for UConn, she had to play off of her.
Yeah, Gino doesn't have another post to put in the game, so he's having a gamble. Liza Carlin takes it right back to her. Nice little fadeaway.
Beckers is double. Brady heaves without hesitation.
That long-range jumper looks really smooth. Like, it looks like she's been knocking those down all season long. Gino Auriemma did tell us she makes them in practice at a high rate. He's waiting for it to translate to the game. We're seeing it here now.
She was 4 for 20 on the season from 3 before that one. Capus is short, and Samuels is there with the rebound. Kim, you think that second foul, another moment of adversity, it's almost as if this program gets fueled when they get hit with something.
Yeah, well, it paid off leaving her in the game. It's a big three. She does look a little fatigued out there. She's not used to playing this many minutes.
Shot clock's at 7. Here's Shade with 4. Shade is a bucket.
That couldn't have been better defended from Liza Carlin, who has a couple inches on her. How did Ashlyn Shade knock that down?
And now this crowd rises to its feet. King turns, knocks it down. 2 seconds to go, and that will do it for the first half. We've got an 11-point game.
That was a tough response from Jordan King with the whole crowd against her. Several thousand people going right into the teeth of the defense and coming up with a big one.
UConn has never lost a Big East tournament game inside this building. There's a reason for it with this atmosphere. Megan Caffrey is with the Hall of Famer Gino Auriemma.
Thanks, John. Coach, midway through that second quarter, you challenged your team for more ball movement offensively. How did they rise to that occasion?
You know, when we get the ball moving, I think we have a chance to get the matchups we want, spread the floor a little bit. We're kind of stubborn as a team, you know. We've got guys that this is the play I want to make, and I don't care what the defense is doing. I want to make this play. So that's going to be the whole key, you know, the second half. Stay out of foul trouble. Keep the ball moving until we get the matchups we want. And then, you know, we're getting really good shots down here, and we just got to knock them in. But, you know, that was a pretty good half for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, Paige Beckers charged it. 11 points, 9 rebounds. She's 1 rebound away from her first double-double of the season. Today's first half stats comparison sponsored by Jeep. There's only one.
And Liza Carlin, you know, working so hard for shots just like her counterpart, Jordan King, is the efficiency not there because the defense has been so good. But they're going to keep working to get some easier looks in the second half for Marquette.
It's the fewest first half points the Golden Eagles have scored this season. UConn's defense locked them up, and the Huskies are up 11. We'll return to the arena right after this break. You are watching the 2024 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament, sponsored by Jeep, starting the third quarter of our first of 2 semifinals here on FS1. UConn up 11 on Marquette. Let's welcome back the third member of our team, Megan Caffrey.
Why, hello, John. I caught up with Coach Duffy at the half, and she said she liked her team's defense, especially in the second quarter, and wants to see that hustle mentality continue here in the second half. As for offense, she said, you know, we just got to keep chipping away and hit some 15-foot jumpers.
Thank you, Meg.
Well, yeah, we talked about that in the first half, just how tightly packed this UConn defense is. There's just a lot of congestion, a lot of size. They're sending double teams on catches, even without Aaliyah Edwards. So Marquette wants to pull out from that painted area a little bit from the block. And good the good thing for them is Liza Carlin, their center, absolutely has the ability to step out and stretch the floor.
King with a spin move. And many of Marquette's shots have been short. They had to really grind it out yesterday against Villanova. 50-48 win. They got the stop at the end. They really defended Lucy Olson in that victory.
Yeah, defense came up big. Jordan King just having a tough night tonight. I do think the legs, that's what's keeping her. She's been short on most of her attempts, just 1 for 8. She's got to get her legs into the shots.
Jump ball, the arrow stays with Connecticut. Paige Bueckers, 11 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists already. She does not have a double-double this season.
Surprising. Very much so on the brink here.
2 on her career. Here is Shade with 8. Entry to Ice Brady. That was pretty.
Ice Brady sensing a bit of a mismatch there with some switches. It was Mackenzie Hare, a much smaller guard, fronting her. And Ice Brady calls for the seal.
Carlin after Brady took a spill.
There's the separation. Liza Carlin having a tough time around the rim today because of this UConn defense. That's where she can do her damage in this game. That's the 15-footer that Megan Duffy's looking for.
Bueckers is long. Offensive rebound for Shade. She's short.
And I think Marquette needs to pick up the tempo a little bit here in the game. Play with some more pace, try to get some easier looks. Liza Carlin, not that time. But I like her aggressiveness to start the half. They're going to need her to keep shooting.
Carlin, a unanimous All-Big East first-team selection. Also on the Katrina McLean top 10 list. Amazing her rise.
Now, she has had a real breakout season. She's been very efficient. She's stepped into that star player role that's marked on every scouting report.
6 on the shot clock. Brady from downtown. And this is what Gino Auriemma talked to us about heading into this game. He just is searching, because when you lose Aaliyah Edwards, who, folks, has been so productive as of late, averaging 20 and 12 in her last 10 games, he said, how are we going to make up for a third, if not more, of our scoring?
Yeah, shot selection going to be so important for them. Not sure if a deep 3 is exactly what he wants, but that is what Megan Duffy wants from one of the best in the Big East, one of the best in the nation. Mackenzie Hare, a couple triples in this one.
3. She hasn't missed from downtown. Give her 90 on the season. Bueckers.
Tough. Well defended by Rosen Kumu. Paige Bueckers was kind of walled off there, but spins back and fades. Too tough.
And Jordan King was looking for Volker, but throws it away.
King, such a veteran. I think just, again, sometimes just a little bit of a deep breath. A little bit sped up right now by the UConn pressure. Just take your time to see how they're playing things. Let that double team come. Let things develop before you make a decision on the next pass.
Fade pass to Bueckers, and Paige Bueckers knows her role has to increase even more. She's got 15 points. She's 7 of 10.
She's playing the 1 through 5 right now. That time it was her and Ice Brady in a little high-low post action.
Post Paige. You've also used Smooth Pete this week as Carlin connects with the left hand.
And that time it was a better look inside because there was less congestion on that side of the floor. It was overloaded to the other side, so there wasn't that ability to come and double down from UConn.
What's at stake here? A trip to the Big East Championship game, which is tomorrow night, 7 Eastern Time, FS1. Bueckers takes a bump. Blocking foul, and it is a shooting foul.
Here's the high-low action, and this is just, I think, a tough matchup for Rose and Kumu, who's a really good on-ball defender, but the size of Paige Bueckers is problematic in this matchup, and you see her get Rosenkumu on the top side, call for the lob pass. Delivers it from Ice Brady.
Beckers earlier this week getting recognized as well as the Big East Scholar Athlete of the Year, a 3.9 GPA in the fall.
She does it all. I mean, we talked about all she's done on the basketball court, but Paige Beckers putting work in the classroom.
She goes back home to her native Minnesota as well and has volunteered at a local food pantry and a grocery store. Does that a couple times for your giving back to her home community. Carlin is off.
That was a triple team there. 3 white jerseys collapsing on her.
Arnold found a lane and capitalized.
KK Arnold, such an explosive athlete. If she gets a step past her defender, she is finding that direct line drive right to the rim. We've seen her do that a couple times here in these semifinals.
That's off Carlin's leg. KK Arnold with the defensive play.
And again, I mean, UConn is just swarming that interior pass into Liza Carlin. That's one where you kind of predict that you're going to throw it in there. They have to adjust. Maybe you kick it around the perimeter a little bit, allow Liza Carlin to pop up or relocate. But there's a lot of trouble going on in that block area.
That's a steal by King. 5th Husky turnover. King got the bounce.
It's maybe a little bit of a sigh of relief for Jordan King, who has been a staple in this league for 5 seasons, has had a tough shooting night, but maybe that one going in will give her a little bit of spark.
She now has 1,798 career points. 7 on the shot clock. Mule back into Beckers when UConn needs to respond. Paige Beckers does. 18.
Paige Beckers hasn't stopped moving without the ball. She's finding success in the post with some post-ups, using her length and size on some mismatches.
No Aaliyah Edwards, and yet the Huskies are up 24-6 in the paint, and that's a 5th Marquette turnover. We've got a timeout.
And that's the same pass that they keep trying to make. But Paige Beckers, she could be the point guard, she could be the center. She's having a big game, 18 points.
Big East road trip has hit outside Mohegan. Sun fans taking part in some shooting competitions and more. UConn up 13 on Marquette. Kim Adams, the Golden Eagles are trying to make this pass.
Yeah, when you go against a defense as disciplined and strong as UConn, you have to be locked in on the details. The lost art of the post-entry pass. It's all about them angles, as Drake would say. Rosenkumu has to take another dribble or two to try to get that into Liza Carlin. You see how UConn is just closing in on any pass in the post. We saw Nika Mule, as soon as the pass is made, she's coming over from the weak side to double team Liza Carlin. And it's just been a couple times now in a row that Marquette doesn't seem to be recognizing that, adjusting. That is a really tough area to try to play this game right now because of how UConn is choosing to defend it.
So what can Marquette do to adjust?
Well, I just said it. They got to dribble over. They got to make the pass. They got to switch sides of the floor. You can't just keep trying to do the same thing over and over.
That sounds like it's insanity if you continue to do it over and over again.
That's what they say.
Shade, short. King catch and shoot. That's an air ball. Megan Duffy keeps clapping to try to keep her team in the right state. But this Marquette team, they've shot 12 for 40 in this game.
Yeah, it's a 13-point game with a ton of time left. That is why Megan Duffy is trying to keep them confident. Jordan King needs to stay active. Liza Carlin, Mackenzie Hare, they got to keep looking and taking their shots.
Our next semifinal will be Creighton and Georgetown, 5 Eastern time on FS1. Beckers is short. Brady battling. The Blue Jays folks are 25-4 on the year. Having an amazing season and right around that host bubble, if we will, for the top 16 in the NCAA tournament. Well, they keep trying, and they keep failing on that pass.
That time they did have a better angle, closer to that free throw line extended. But a lot of times, most times, a post-entry pass is going to be a bounce pass. They try to throw that over the top, and it sails into the photographers.
Ice Brady now at 27 minutes, by the way. Let's look back at this first.
So the angle is better here. But, you know, step around, bounce that in. Just really tough time with the post passes today.
Arnold takes a big bomb. There's no foul, and Gino Auriemma is asking where is the whistle with all that contact. King, that's a ton of contact. It's an offensive foul. Taken by Brady.
Continues to be a tough night for one of the league's best guards. Official, a little bit in the way of our replay there, but by the ending, you could see that Ice Brady was there. That was on the other end where Gino was looking for a call.
Speaking of Brady, now at 28 minutes, the most she's played in a game in her career is 27.
Yeah, she's stepping up into a big spot. You can tell she's trying to push through it. She's breathing a little heavily right now, but she's trying to stay out there.
Beckers, short. Again, no Aaliyah Edwards with a broken nose. That being said, if UConn is to advance the Big East Championship game tomorrow, 7 Eastern time, right here on FS1, Edwards has not been ruled out for that game. She'll be reevaluated. Megan Duffy calls timeout. We'll take a timeout too. The status of Edwards up in the air as this conference tournament rolls along. Down at the Garden this week as we welcome you back to Mohegan Sun. Like the UConn women, the UConn men will be the #1 seed in the Big East tournament. Creighton the 2, Marquette the 3. Yet, that's interesting, isn't it? When you look at the top programs on the women's side, they're mirrored on the men's side. These two sets of men's and women's teams, UConn, Marquette, Creighton, that trio, really great programs on both sides.
Yeah, UConn and Creighton ranked in the top 25 on both teams. And man, we were just talking about it at the break, John. If the Marquette offense could just be a little bit better, they would be right there. The defense has been fine. UConn hasn't scored in about 3 minutes. But Marquette has not been able to make up any ground on their own offensive end.
Well, Marquette hasn't scored in 3.5 minutes. Here's Shade. That one way off. And they chop into this to close the third quarter. Trying to find Carlin, but Beckers anticipated it.
We know how locked in Paige Beckers has been on the defensive end this tournament and all season long. She's going to use her length to try to deflect plays, disrupt.
Carlin with a liner. It was off the front of the rim yet again. Marquette scoring drought hits 4 minutes. Nika Mule pulls. Sand hits.
She won't be credited with it, but give Ice Brady the assist for that bucket. She set 2 really hard screens to set up that opening. One on Paige Beckers, then one on Nika Mule. There was no way a defender was getting around that.
The Huskies' largest lead of the afternoon. Shot clock at 10. 1 second difference between shot and game. Becker stole it away.
And it was Ice Brady again, who slid over so quickly into help.
Beckers with 3. Paige Beckers. Beckers madness!
You know what time it is. Shot clock winding down. Paige buckets. Nothing but net. This crowd is uplifted. Paige Beckers up to 21 points. Ooh, she likes it all right.
Here's your scoring by quarter. UConn set the tone with defense. Marquette better in the second. But the third, it's 16-9 Huskies. It was 13-9 until this happened.
This is just too good to revisit. Not a lot going here as the quarter clock is winding down. Just a ridiculous shot. She almost lost the ball. 2 players come at her. She doesn't care. Over the outstretched arm of Liza Carlin. Nothing but the bottom of the net. Beautiful look at it from that angle. Great job by our crew.
With that bucket, it gives her 21 points, 22nd game this year of at least 20. And how about this? First double-double of the year, third of her career at 21 and 10.
Well, without Aaliyah Edwards, who gives them about 10 rebounds per game, Gino was wondering where this rebound would come from. He's gotten an answer from Paige Beckers, who averages about 4 rebounds per game.
10 on the shot clock here. Here's Forbes, the freshman, with 5. Volker with 2. Steps back. In and out. Now, there's a sub-storyline here in an 18-point game. Marquette has a net of 38. They are firmly on the NCAA tournament bubble. You want to avoid getting significantly blown out from here, so they're playing potentially their last quarter to play to convince a committee member who's watching.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, yesterday I thought was a big win for them over Villanova. 2 teams that are both hoping to hear their names called. Marquette had an undefeated non-conference. There's been a lot of parity in the middle of the pack in the Big East. But this would certainly be a big one if they could have a strong showing here, even if they don't necessarily come away with a win.
Autumn Johnson has them as a 10 seed in her latest bracketology. 5 on the shot clock here. King with a head of steam. That was altered. Shot clock's down to 1. It never reset. That's deflected off the Golden Eagles. Back to UConn. How about this Huskies defensive unit?
Absolutely. They have just made things so difficult for Marquette at all times, specifically for Jordan King, who is having a really tough night. She's leaving it all out there. But everywhere she turns, there's a UConn player stepping up with length, with size, with a double team. They are completely locked in on the personnel.
Arnold traveled. And that has Gino Auriemma turning right away because he was asking Mule to give it to Arnold and let her go to work.
Gino reactions are second to none. Maybe they could do one of those alternate TikTok broadcasts with a Gino reaction cam.
Caitlin Cam was a resounding success. Clark and the Hawkeyes winning the Big Ten tournament earlier today. Kane, pull-up. He just hasn't had it today, 2 of 12. So here we go. Here's a little bit of what you asked for, Kim Adams.
And this looks like a coach who is 0-30 on the season. I mean, just a reminder here, the UConn Huskies are 27-5, 18-0 in the Big East. But he has a high standard.
You think? Over 1,200 career wins. Only Mike Krzyzewski and Tara Vanderveer can say that.
Even right now, I mean, he's not happy about something. Continuing to coach up his group, which is obviously a very young group, especially today without Aaliyah Edwards. 3 freshmen have made up the bulk of the minutes today: Arnold, Brady, and Shade.
1,207 victories for the man, and Paige Beckers is on fire this afternoon. 24 points.
Her reactions have been on point too. She pretty much fell into her teammate's lap, turned around, and gave them the tongue out. We'll see if our cameras caught that. Paige is on one today.
Went right near Edwards, and Edwards is smiling. Oriema joked about her, just how funny that she is around the locker room, around the program, has a great sense of humor. She talked earlier this week that she's so inquisitive, Kim, about potentially being a detective, and she's aspired growing up to be that. She always asks the question that 13 or 14-year-old would ask.
Well, it's great to see her playing with so much joy. She's having a great time out there. She is really, I mean, of course you're gonna have a great time when you're shooting the ball like she is, but she's playing freely. I love how she's attacking the glass. That was her 11th rebound on the other end.
Shot clock at 1, and Arnold could not get that off.
And that's got to drive Gino crazy. Yep. Oh, she's coming right out.
Wow.
He is not having that.
Let's go over to Megan.
Well, John and Kim, as much fun as Gino and Paige have together, in a conversation I had with Gino about his guard, he told me, you know, she's just a kid who's been thrown one curveball after another, and she's made the most of it, which I really admire about her, telling me she's tougher than she looks in so many ways.
Yeah, they certainly have been able to develop a great relationship through the time Paige had to spend off the court, and we saw him laying into KK Arnold there after the shot clock violation. He has to hold his young players to high standards with the impact and the minutes that they play. He has to coach them like they are fourth-year players.
She said earlier this week she takes pride in getting good grades. She takes pride in continuing to raise her game. Samuels from the corner is short. She said out of all the awards that she's won, Paige mentioned in a story this week, her parents were most proud of that Big East Scholar Athlete of the Year award. The academic side, that management. It's hard to win that honor, Kim.
It really is. We talking about some of the off-court stuff. I know Paige has used a lot of her NIL opportunities to help the community. We're seeing, you know, the positive ways that NIL is having an impact.
Six on the shot clock. Beckers again. Oh! Paging Beckers are these Huskies, and she is delivering. 27. Back to Connecticut. You think she's enjoying March? Beckers is flourishing. And even shorthanded, these Huskies are rolling today, and their head coach never stops teaching. As hard as he is on his kids, that's what makes him one of the greats. There's Paige Becker's mother, Amy. Paige has talked so much about her mom, her dad as well, Bob, and their influence, and today she is making her parents even prouder.
Paige Beckers is just in one of those zones today, ladies and gentlemen. That gave her 27 points, on the afternoon. She is overjoyed. She's working the crowd today, and she has really turned things up in the second half. She scored everywhere on the floor today. Little turnaround jumper, playing a little post action in place of Aaliyah Edwards, sealing the defender. We have to look back at this one to beat the third quarter clock. That one sent this arena into a frenzy. She is 3 of 5 from deep, but we have to talk about the complete floor game, John Fanta. 12 rebounds. You mentioned her first double-double of the season. 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Paige Bueckers, as complete of a player there is in this country.
Oh, by the way, she's coming back next season.
Another announcement that sent the arena into a frenzy. She tried to fake him out with it a couple weeks ago on senior night.
8 on the shot clock. Samuels got it. That's a welcome sight.
Nobody was happier for Kaden Samuels there than Paige Bueckers, who had the assist. She is feeling the love for her teammates tonight. Paige Bueckers.
Folks, we're watching an extraordinary performance right now. It's 56-29. Marquette hasn't scored in 10 minutes. And she does this.
Paige blockers. The point guard. Number 4. UConn has 4 blocks. They all come from Paige, and a steal. Has the defensive player of the year, that was given out, right?
It was. We've got that in our next game. Kelsey Ransom in Georgetown meeting Creighton. Yeah, we still have another semifinal, 5 o'clock here on FS1. We'll be with you in between games with the latest on women's college basketball.
And Christina Dalsey, co-defensive players. Don't want to leave her out.
Of course not. That's a dime. And a jump ball, the Arrows with Marquette.
How did that pass get in there? There were like 4 players like a magnet around Ice Brady, and Paige Bueckers somehow fed that into her.
You know, you think about this team, Kim, and you said, as Autumn Johnson has them on the 3 line, but their net is 2. And it's easy to forget based on the score. They're missing Aaliyah Edwards, who hasn't been ruled out for tomorrow. Expect that, if not tomorrow, that it's not something that's going to keep her off of the NCAA tournament. That is this team getting underestimated this month? They just showed her on the jumbotron here.
And she gave a little reaction too. I don't want to give an answer to that without kind of reminding myself of the full field that's projected ahead of them right now, but you certainly have to consider them to be moved up a little bit. There's still a long ways to go in this tournament, of course, but they have been dominant the last couple months.
Pottinger. Marquette has not scored in the 4th quarter. It'll stay with them. Here comes Benford, and listen to this for Bueckers. Foul on the Huskies. 27 points.
That's a veteran move right there, covering the mouth, knowing that the cameras are always on. But I don't know if I've ever seen Paige look this happy when she's playing. I mean, I know she's always smiling and giving the crowd reaction, but she was just extremely relaxed in a moment today. What a performance from Paige.
The vibe around here at Mohegan entering the day was, well, Edwards isn't playing. We got bodies to the floor here. Jump ball belongs to the Huskies. Well, that could change the tournament. Maybe UConn could falter. Maybe they could be vulnerable. Paige Bueckers took matters in her own hands, and listen to this from Mueller. Bueckers with 27 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, 3 steals.
What a line from a point guard.
played all 5 spots today. And Arnold turns this one over with just over 2 minutes left. Just to cap them off, what's a big picture thought process with Marquette and their season to date?
Yeah, I mean, I feel for them. You hate to end the regular season, the conference tournament, on a note like this, especially because their offense has been so good all season long. This is certainly an off night. But I do think they've hopefully positioned themselves well enough to get into that NCAA tournament. But again, there might be a little bit of a stressful selection Sunday.
They started the season 12-0. 12-0. Remarkable year. And after that 12-0 start, 11-7 since. They will be sweating a bit on Selection Sunday, but with a couple of marquee wins, hope to hear their name called. As you said, that's a double triple. But for the most part, Ice Brady has done a lot of good for this UConn team, replacing Edwards today.
Absolutely, just the minutes she's had to give. I don't know if did she even come out of the game today? Trying to pull up her minutes here. I mean, that alone, coming back after missing a full year. She's used to playing behind Aaliyah Edwards about 15 minutes per game. So that alone, the stamina to stay out there, really impressive from Ice Brady.
Up until the time that they just came out, Beckers, Mule, Shade, and Brady had played the entirety of this game.
Wow.
Winner here with the Huskies moving on. They'll meet the winner of Creighton and Georgetown, which is coming up in our next semifinal. An efficient offense meets one of the top defensive units in the country.
Absolutely, that'll be an interesting one. They met just once this season. Just a 5-point win for Creighton. 2 contrasting styles. High scoring versus the top 10 defense of the country. Looking forward to that one coming up after this one.
Stay right here on FS1. We'll have coverage in between games as well, with highlights from across the country on a busy day. And this fan base, one of the best in the country, rises to its feet. A scoreless fourth quarter for Marquette. Brady, exclamation point.
Paige liked it. Paige has some great reactions herself. We talked about Gino.
Final seconds here. For the 27th time in program history, UConn is on to the Big East Championship game. The Huskies held Marquette scoreless for the final 14 minutes and 49 seconds.
I mean, that's just an insane stat, especially against an offensive team that's typically very efficient from Marquette. It's hard to see them go out like that. But Huskies came into this one with a little bit of a dark cloud. No Aaliyah Edwards. They certainly responded. Ice Brady playing big-time minutes in the center spot. Paige Becker's doing what she does best this time of year.
Megan Caffrey has Gino Auriemma.
Coach, to think what your team was able to do, especially in that fourth quarter, holding Marquette scoreless. What did your defense put on show today?
I mean, like, I think you were there when I was talking. I said, I don't know that we could. There was like 5 minutes left in the game, and I thought it's not possible for us to play any better, defensively than we're playing tonight. Obviously, if you don't score they had a lot to do with it. You know, we made it tough on them for sure. I'm constantly amazed by what our players can summon up under the worst circumstances, you know, and it's just been happening over and over and over again. And I think anybody watching today, you know, this is what Connecticut basketball is all about right here.
And speaking of those circumstances, your freshman Ice Brady stepping in for Leah Edwards. How do you assess her performance?
Yeah, we've been a little bit up and down and frustrated with Ice because we know the kind of ability that she has, the kind of skills that she has. And I said sometimes when you're in a position where you don't have any choice, I think she treated herself all year like, well, you know, I'm just here to play when Aaliyah can't. And then all of a sudden you have no choice and you find out that, hey, I'm pretty good. So the last 2 games, to be honest with you, she's grown up a lot. And she's really, really, really made a huge impact, probably on herself more than anything else.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meg. A very happy Gino Auriemma. UConn is on to the Big East Championship game. After this break, Paige Beckers will join Megan Caffrey off her 27-point, 12-rebound, first double-double of the season. The Huskies are pumped because they'll be playing on Championship Monday at Mohegan. Paige Beckers is next.